All right, everybody, welcome back to Scarlet and Gray podcast, Ohio State football with Scarlet and Gray on YouTube. Please subscribe. 1,000 subscribers to the YouTube partnership program. We're trying to head that way. We will do a giveaway at 1,000 subscribers. We appreciate all your loyalty and your love and support, guys. We appreciate you listening. I'm here again with Kris Drew, the Kris Drew, the Justin Fields doppelganger, as I'm going to keep returning to him. He's at the crib right now. Justin, or I'm sorry, wow, I'm calling you Justin.
hey, here's the thing, man. The NFL draft is in Cleveland. That's about 30 minutes from my house.
Uh-oh.
I might go grab a Niners hat, throw that sucker on, and go hit the bars downtown, and hopefully get a drink or two. It's like, hey, that's Justin. I'm just kidding. I don't look that much like Justin, but I wish I did. So.
Man, you're getting the guns, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to get big out here. You guys don't know, but Corey is built to last. I'm talking that boy is built to last. I'm trying to be just like him when I get older. So
you got a long way to go as far as the age thing, not the built thing. Anyway, so you made a great point to me when we were trying to record these shows when the stinking weather killed me on my end and just took out my internet. But you made a great point. The mindset of these two guys, Jack Miller, CJ Stroud. We're going back to this before we get into the more culture part of this. You said Jack started out hot. He was just like sophomore. He's like number one quarterback in the country, 53 touchdowns, I think, his sophomore year. And then, of course, circumstances out of his control led to a little bit of a drop in the ratings, injuries, and his offensive line getting him killed. You said you were talking about the structure in the last video, wasn't there. CJ Stroud, complete opposite. A no-name.
Complete opposite.
3-star. Nobody knew who he was. They knew he was talented, but he's a California guy, almost like an Olave in a way. Except
I think
he jumped price.
He jumped 500 spots late in the 247 composite, I believe. So here's the thing. Jack was such an early riser. Jack was able to break through earlier in his football career than CJ Stroud was. And so for him, he had gotten there. The game, it didn't, obviously, if for you to rise that quickly, that means the game slows down for you quicker. For CJ, it took more reps for him to get to a place where he was able to kind of break through and take off. It's a similar thing you saw with Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. Not that I'm comparing these two to them, but something of note, Trevor Lawrence was always kind of regarded as the number one quarterback. Justin Fields was a 3-star kid committed to Penn State who had a very, very late breakthrough. And it's interesting because Trevor Lawrence was obviously able to break in and come in his first year and do really well. And Justin Fields had a little bit more learning to do and had to sit behind, and that whole Georgia nonsense. We can get them at a different day. But I think Jack Miller being such an early riser is a good thing. And I think that's a beneficiary for him because the game slowed down sooner for him is what that tells me. And I think that for both of them, you can see Jack kind of breaking through earlier than I think you would see CJ breaking through earlier at the college level too, if you believe in mirrors when you take that step up.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you made that I was like, wow, I didn't even really think about that. But we talked about the fact that people shouldn't really count Jack out, but there is an obstacle he has to overcome that I think a lot of people. It's not anything that's abnormal. It's normal, right? But It's an obstacle that you've talked to me about that he has to overcome with his teammates. That maybe there's a bit of a barrier there between their backgrounds. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so I have a lot of background working with people from everywhere. I do a lot of work, do a lot of teaching kind of in this area, and kind of try to break barriers. But let me start with this. Quarterback position to me is important, and I try to study a lot so I am as informed as possible. One of the things that I think is very important is a quarterback's gravitational pull. And what do I mean by that? How likable is a guy? How inspiring is a guy? And how can a guy relate to others? Now, obviously, Jack Miller is white. CJ Stroud is black. Now, before I even go further into this.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah. Before I even go further into this, let me start with talking about CJ. And he, regardless of anything, he has a rare gift. CJ has quarterback gravitational pull. And what I mean by that is players, alphas, athletes gravitate to him. Now, it could be for any number of things, but in settings, athletes gravitate towards him. Going back to high school, because that Elite 11 camp, the way they do their the way they decide who the starting quarterback of a team is going to be is they basically have the players vote on it, and the players pick who's going to be the quarterback. Now, CJ has had so much gravitational pull there that he was able to be the starting quarterback of his team, even though that team also had Bryce Young on it. So I think that is something of note. But in terms of Ohio State, gravitational pull there, Jack Miller has to overcome the barrier of being white. That's just it. And it's going to take him a little longer because this is human nature. Whether you like it or not, human nature is we are gravitated towards who we look like because we head towards comfort and we head towards familiarity. And so there are cases where you would see, players gravitating towards one guy and then late to another guy because it takes a little bit longer for that to happen. So Jack Miller, I think it didn't. I don't think it happened last year. I personally don't think it happened last year. I think it is starting to happen this year because I think culturally it's like, wait a second, people are taking notice and it's starting to build those blocks to kind of be the quarterback that has the gravitational pull and the trust of the receivers, who I think is the pulse of that entire team.
Yeah, basically you're saying it just takes time, right?
Yeah,
People from different backgrounds. Yeah.
It takes time and it's a unique skill set as well. Like Tom Brady, the way he kind of has had that gravitational pull is with a lot of interpersonal communication with individuals rather than just the raw stuff at practice. Like you always hear stories about Tom Brady, reaching out to someone. Like he called every single Tampa Bay Buccaneers player to have a interpersonal conversation with them. And that is how he gained gravitational pull and remained super, super likable. And I think that is important. Now, I also think for Jack Miller, it'll happen once he kind of gets like a swag pass or gets a pass from that one cool guy on the team. And then it's like, wait a second, like this dude can be our leader as well. He's good, he's talented, and he is a really good dude. And once that barrier gets broken, I think you will see gravitational pull head more and more towards Jack Miller, to where hopefully it becomes just about the talent and not about kind of the leadership stuff. Because to be honest, that's the number one thing for me is how good are you at the game of football?
Yeah, and I gotta say, I wouldn't blame the coaches, right? If like let's just say they're even, and statistically and analytically they're even,
Yeah.
talent wise, and but the team gravitates more towards CJ. Well, you have to go with CJ at that point.
Yeah, well, I would hope they do. I would hope absolutely. If it's close, go with the guy who has the more gravitational pull.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, it's just like it's a touchy issue. Obviously, some people are going to read into it. We're not talking about a race and that stuff like necessarily. It's just about your surroundings and what you're comfortable with, and that what your background, where you come from, and who understands you more, who can relate to you more in your background, right? So that's kind of what we're talking about here. So I don't want people to read into it more than what we're read it. We're not trying to trying to like to read in between the lines, people. It's not one of those types of things.
No. I'm gonna say what I mean. I mean, we as humans, we gravitate towards what we are familiar with, and that is just a fact. That there's nothing else other than that. That is a fact. We gravitate towards who we are comfortable with, and one of the first things we see is race. Fair or not, that's just one of the first things.
And not to mention just, where you come from. You do understand where I'm coming from, and CJ probably understands more where the receiving core is coming from, I would imagine.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I mean, and that's fair. It's just life. Like you said, that is what it is. But this is where I actually appreciate a guy like Jack having all these obstacles on top of Buckeye Nation, kind of discounting him, kind of saying, okay, it's going to be CJ, and him coming there still battling. And honestly, in some of these practices, outperforming CJ even and getting better every day. And to me, I've always felt Jack has that it factor to him, to where it's like he's in a game, he's in a zone. He has the mentality just to get it done. I think both of these guys are national title contending type quarterbacks. I just think that I don't understand the idea that we just got to discount Jack. And it just seems like it's gotten to a point where it's so commonplace where it's almost just insulting to Jack. Like, come on, this is not some throwaway. This is not Bowserman Miller. These are two extremely quality QBs.
This isn't Stephen Collier. This isn't we missed on Deshaun Watson, so let's bring in Collier. No.
Yeah.
Jack Miller can really play.
I know you don't want people to necessarily have to go watch highlight tapes or anything like that. We also can't completely justify everything by huddle tapes anyway. But if somebody were to watch the highlight tapes, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to pay very close attention to who had the better offensive line. I would tell you to take a very, very close look and see that Jack is kind of running for his life a majority of the time, making a lot of on-the-run throws because he wasn't playing with maybe as good a talent as you would have liked on the offensive line. And if you see CJ's, yeah, he does have some plays where he's rushing out and kind of running around, but it's more Haskins-like. It's more sitting back there and really dealing and throwing to a lot of receivers with plenty of separation. Because he had his feet set, didn't have to run for his life. I mean, there's a couple of Jack Miller throws that Johnny actually sent me that are just mind-boggling. Like moving left, throwing back across right, just pure arm talent throws. And it's like, wow, that kid in some structure, that's what you want. You want the kid that didn't want to play hero ball, but was forced to play hero ball. But now he doesn't have to because he has the Garrett Wilsons, the Olaves, the Jameson Williams, the Emeka Egbuka. I mean, I can go on and on for days. You want that kid. And that's kind of where I'm at personally. I think they're both super talented. I think they're both super exciting. But the fact that Jack Miller's talent isn't being recognized as it should is a little bit mind-boggling to me because this is Ohio State. This is a new Ohio State era of quarterbacks, and he is elite, to say the least.
Yeah, and I'll say one more thing, and then I'll let you finish us off, man. But I talked to his dad a couple of times, and he came on the podcast once. His dad's very much understands there's competition. Jack understands there's competition at Ohio State. It would have been so like the barriers you were talking about earlier. It would have been so easy for any normal player to been like, well, it's unfair. I don't like it, and then cry about it. And instead, this guy, from what we're seeing, is actually building these relationships with these players. And by the way, for what it's worth, I've been told CJ and Jack both have a great relationship. They are competitive, but they're friends. I mean, this is not a they hate each other thing by any stretch. But the receiving core. I mean, I remember Jack posted something I think on IG and said back in business, and every receiver, Jamo, all of them, just gave him a thumbs up and said nice things about him. I mean, he's building those relationships, and that's going to even the playing field, so to speak. And it's going to actually what it does too is it like gives the coaches options. Like, look, the team likes both guys. If
the coaches don't feel handcuffed, like it almost seems like they do feel a little bit like we have to wait for CJ to get this job. Kind of is kind of the tone right now. But if the receivers are, it's rare. The receivers are the pulse of this team. They just are. I think everyone will gravitate towards the receivers because they have that personality. B, two of the best receivers Ohio State's ever had in Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and 3, they're just a really fun, good group. If they are gravitating towards one to both of these quarterbacks, that will build so much trust with the entire team for either quarterback, and that'll be so big for the coaches because the last thing you want is the coach to feel like, oh, I have to have him be it. I have to have him be it, as opposed to having a true quarterback battle through and through because you're worried about the team.
Yeah, exactly, Chris. I appreciate you coming on, man, with talking these quarterback positions and just with us and giving maybe people a different perspective than just, hey, who has the best arm? Because that seems like what it comes down to sometimes for fan bases is just, well, this guy's got a really strong arm. It's like there's so much more to it. There's so many layers to this.
Right.
So
I mean, who just won their 7th Super Bowl?
Tom Brady, man.
Exactly. He's probably 25th in the league in arm strength. Probably the slowest quarterback. So what?
You've seen his combine photo. Looked like a dork who shouldn't play football.
He looked like my neighbor going outside and shirtless going to get his mail is what he looked like.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't think that guy was the all-time greatest quarterback. I mean, that's pretty indisputable at this point, right? He's the goat. He's the GOAT. I mean,
he is. Just no matter how you shake it. And it's funny because he couldn't even win at Michigan.
Well, Michigan booed him off the field a couple times.
Yeah, exactly.
So, they want to claim him now, though. The only guy that right now has a chance to catch him is probably Pat Mahomes. So
yeah, Pat. Maybe if Wilson has a really good stretch, if they can get it kind of back on track, I think he's really talented.
Bad for Wilson, they just refuse to protect him at Seattle.
Man, I got some quarterback theory, but I'll tack that on a different day. So you got to.
No problem, buddy. So tell them where they can reach you at, Chris. I'll definitely include it in the description, man.
Yeah, for sure. You just find me on Twitter at Christopher Drew _ It's Christopher with a K. I tweet out every insightful things every now and again, but I'm more just am kind of laying low and gathering information is what I'm more about. But you guys catch me around. Hopefully I'll be back on the show soon. And I've been recruiting Johnny lately. So
oh boy.
Yeah.
Man, you do not have an eye for talent at all.
Kind of stumbled in my lap, Stud's gonna stud, right?
Oh jeez, let's not talk about studs right now. We just did a video on Coach Stud. Anyway, so oh man. So Chris, we appreciate you coming on, buddy, and shedding some light on this quarterback battle, man.
Hey, I appreciate you, boss. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, guys. As always, 1,000 subscribers help us out. I appreciate it. Leave a like on the video, guys. As always, guys, goodbye. God bless. And go Bucks, of course.